one ever said starting over was easy, and the Boston Celtics and their fans have certainly felt their share of growing pains this season. Last night saw a bright spot, though, a win against the defending champs, the Miami Heat, albeit without a certain guy named LeBron James. The Celtics have 1 month left in the regular season, and a playoff run looks unlikely. But according to the team, this year's goal has always been something bigger, making progress. I'm joined now by Rich Gotham. He's been president of the Boston Celtics since 2007. Welcome to Greater Boston.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invitation.
Had some of your other colleagues on, but never you.
Oh, good to be here. So
let's start with the bad. What's going on this year?
Well, I don't know that it's bad. I think it's necessary might be the word that I'd use. We sensed at the end of last season we were getting further away from a championship and not closer. Made the tough decision to trade a couple of future Hall of Famers in Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce for draft picks, which are really future value, in order to set ourselves back on a trajectory to build the next championship Celtics team. So that's what we're executing on this year. It's been a little tough on the court. It's been a long season, but we hired a great coach in Brad Stevens to help us maintain a winning culture, develop our young players, and at the same time we're accumulating draft picks and creating salary cap space so we can bring new players in. So it takes a little patience, but ultimately we're on a pretty good track, and based on how we're gauging success this year, we feel like it's been a good season. I
mean, the tough thing is getting people to come when you're not winning. So I know attendance has been down. Yeah. I mean, it's not drastically down, but it's down. So you guys have come up with a bunch of different ideas to keep people coming.
Yeah, our standard is pretty high. When we had sold out 300 consecutive games, we sold out about half the games this year. We've got great fans. I mean, we're at the game last night against Miami. It felt like a playoff game. And Phoenix on the previous Friday night felt the same way. A lot of energy in the building. Fans are showing up. We've played to about 97% capacity this year. So the fans are there and supporting us because we've been very transparent with the fans, with regard to what we're trying to accomplish this year. So I think the expectations are right. Our team plays really hard. So fans see that, and they understand that. They're happy. They get their money's worth, have a good time at the game. They leave saying, I had a blast, and I can't wait to come back and bring my kids.
Where do you stand on this new idea about drafting procedures? I mean, I think Danny Ainge said it exactly right. He said, currently the system is you get rewarded for doing badly. So now they want to flip this whole thing up so it becomes this wheel. Well, you'll know 30 years out where you stand in the draft.
I have somewhat mixed feelings on it. I think obviously you want the incentive to be for all teams to win. Having said that, the lottery system as it exists today provides a good amount of intrigue and a storyline for a lot of teams who might not have that much hope of actually winning, because in any given season it's a zero-sum game. If one team's going to win 60, another team's going to win 20. That's just the way it works mathematically. So everyone can't be a contender every year, and if you're not a contender, the lottery represents hope for a lot of teams. Having said that, I think there's a hybrid model that could be implemented, something between the wheel and the existing lottery that would provide a better incentive to win for teams, and every team's in a different situation, but also give them a chance for a high draft pick and not have to go too long between getting a high draft pick. The wheel, in one iteration, says you could go 30 years without getting the first draft pick.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're a team that actually had the first draft pick and you didn't pick wisely and you don't get another crack at it for another 30 years, that could be a tough sell for fans. So something in between I think works, but we've got a new commissioner, Adam Silver, who is a very innovative, thoughtful, and creative guy, and I know that's on his mind as well as the competition committee at the league, so we'll see if that changes. But I think the existing system does provide a lot of fan intrigue and a nice storyline in a lot of cities where that's the main thing that they're selling, which is hope.
One of the big stars, of course, of the Celtics was Doc Rivers himself. When he was there for so long, he was entrenched. He was such a recognizable. You mentioned Brad Stevens, new guy. I mean, it's hard to fill big shoes like that.
It is, and we're really fortunate because when Doc determined that, he didn't want to go through a rebuild process, and we effectively moved him along to the Clippers in return for a draft pick, at that point in time, we didn't really have a list of coaching candidates, and so we sat and talked to Danny and said, who do you like? And this is one guy, Brad Stevens, and Brad was in a phenomenal coaching career at Butler, taking a small program and bringing them to the NCAA finals in back-to-back years. And Danny had a list of one guy he wanted, and it was Brad, and we're lucky to get him, and we're lucky that he recognized, I think, in the Celtics a little bit of what he loves about basketball. If you're from Indiana, you really sort of understand what basketball is about in its in its essence, and that's how you feel about it if you're from Boston and you've grown up with the Celtics. So it was a good match.
So you're going to keep him?
You know, if we had the choice to extend him right now, again, we would, because, you know, we've got him for 6 years, and he's been better than expected even, and our expectations were pretty high.
This whole thing with Jason Collins coming out earlier this year, now Michael Sam in the NFL, I mean, has that changed anything in the culture of the locker room or anywhere else, or is it pretty much accepted as the norm of the day?
You know, Jason was with us last year for a year. He was a great guy in the locker room. I mean, particularly a guy that teams would say, we want his presence in our locker room. So regardless of his sexual orientation, I don't think that changes. He's also a guy who's a capable basketball player. He's known to set picks and give fouls. He's a good rebounding big man. I think teams care a lot more about that. And I think in terms of locker room culture, if a guy can play and he helps the team, then that player's accepted. And so some people are surprised that it's sort of been a non-event. I don't think it's a non-event necessarily for the gay community, who, when someone like Jason comes out, he represents a lot of people. But in terms of the NBA community, it's been a bit of a non-event.
All right, Rich Gotham, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate that.